Hey guys, Zibboyeye or just Zib is fine, and today we're looking at the sequel to The Grudge. The Grudge was an unbelievable hit. Topping the box office for 2 consecutive weeks, the film earned approximately $39 million at its opening, making nearly quadruple the film's budget in its first weekend alone. If that wasn't enough, the movie also stole the record for the highest grossing opening weekend for a horror film from 2003's Freddy vs. Jason. Even these two titans of terror tag-teamed crumbled in the wake of The Grudge's success. But the crew needn't wait on the film's success to start production of The Grudge 2.
The decision to make a sequel was actually done before the first one was even released. It was kind of a foregone conclusion that we were going to do a sequel. We had actually started to have sequel meetings before the release of the first film.
Thankfully, the film would see the return of series creator Takashi Shimizu. However, Shimizu's signing on to the project was contingent on a demand of his. Shimizu didn't want to make the same movie he had before.
もう同じだったら多分パート1のように日本のジオン2のそのままリメイクってメインの話一緒ですってことだったら僕も断ってたと思うんですね。
The producers agreed with Shimizu, making him officially a member of the Grudge 2 crew. However, even sitting alongside the creative team, Shimizu butted heads with the studio often.
いやそれはもう毎回もう口論し合いながらアメリカのプロデューサーとも戦いながらやっていくんですけれども。
Longtime producer of the series, Takashige Chise, had qualms with Sony's requests as well.
ソニーから言われたのはなぜか双子にこだわってて、カヤコが双子だったっていう。まあそれはソニーに限らず最初にアメリカ側でディベロップされてたプロットっていうのも双子にこだわってましたね。なんか双子って映画で見るとなんかインチキな感じがするんですよね。
After several debates and drafts, The Grudge 2 had paper to its name. Yet the hurdles persisted beyond the script. Test screenings failed to impress audiences. An archived article from Dread Central states they gave the film 2.5 stars, 50%. When asked about the poor reception, lead actor Amber Tamblyn stated, "I heard it's going through a complete re-edit. I'm leaving for Chicago in 2 weeks to do some reshoots." From the writing to post-production, The Grudge 2 hit many bumps in the road to fruition, but we aren't there just yet. The film was preceded with unique marketing. Leading to the movie's release, Sony uploaded 3 short films to the internet titled Tales from the Grudge. The shorts follow an interconnected plot centering around 3 characters. It's weird that 2 characters who ostensibly never entered the Saeki house die from the curse, but otherwise, Tales from the Grudge presents an adequate sip of what you can expect from the series. They don't add much to the franchise, but they are good advertisements. If I were a fan back in the day, these videos would likely hype me for the approaching sequel. But the promotional material didn't stop there. In fact, Tales from the Grudge isn't the only short film series made for the movie. SonyPictures.com became home to the animated animated web miniseries. It hosted The Grudge 1.5, which is Flash animated by the way, and early Flash to boot.
Did you read it? Yesterday's paper. Japan Daily. Back of the local section?
It may look rough around the edges, but I find its use of early digital animation charming. The animation features mostly simple, tweened movements, meaning there's little for its small budget to trip over. But the shorts know exactly when to indulge in motion. Kayako's physical behavior has always been one of her most striking qualities. By making her the most animated character, Kayako grasps my attention as she does in the films. And honestly, I couldn't help but fanboy out at the sight of animated Kayako. The story holds merit as well. The plot follows Isin, a reporter covering the curse, eventually becoming its target. The web series seeks to connect The Grudge to its sequel. Characters from the first movie reappear, and Isin along with his friend Mishima make their debut before appearing in The Grudge 2. I admire the cohesion these films acted as between the first and second film. The Grudge 1.5's use of previous and upcoming characters naturally and seamlessly expand the world of The Grudge. Unlike Tales from the Grudge, which primarily presents the series' concept, The Grudge 1.5 utilizes specific plot details for world building. I wish it were on the DVD because this miniseries is pretty awesome. I recommend it to fans of The Grudge, especially before you head into its sequel. Speaking of which, we're finally there, so let's leave our shoes at the door and step into The Grudge 2. The story follows 3 plots. The A plot centers around Aubrey Davis. On her mother's request, Aubrey travels to Japan to see her hospitalized sister, Karen Davis of the first movie, in hopes of bringing her back home. However, after Karen's death, Aubrey alongside reporter Eason investigates into the Sayakis until she becomes the target of the curse. The B plot follows Allison, a high school girl pressured into entering the cursed house by 2 classmates, after which one by one the group succumbs to the curse. Finally, the C plot takes place across the Pacific in Chicago, where a young boy named Jake moves into an apartment with his sister, father, and stepmother. However, when Jake's family and fellow tenants start acting deranged, Jake begins to question why and how. I commend the structure of the film. Unlike The Grudge, there is no predominant plot. Each storyline is given equal focus, similar to the evenly paced segments of the source material. But the span of each plot makes the leads more identifiable to the common perception of a protagonist. It's a nice compromise between traditional narrative and the polyprotagonist focus I love from the original. On the subject of preserving what I love about this series, Takako Fuji retains her prowess at becoming the vengeful spirit that is Kayako. Takashi Shimizu also maintains the horror with its suspenseful build-up. I'm mixed on the film's kills though. Kayako grabs and pulls someone back about thrice in the film. However, other deaths are unique. Vanessa engulfed in hair in the claustrophobic phone booth was great. Kayako crawling out of a sink was a creative spectacle as well. I was happy to see Shimizu still incorporating new scares even in what is his 6th Ju-on work. Shimizu showcased his talent through a means he scarcely used prior. Oftentimes Kayako or objects bearing her resemblance lurked in the background. It was a great source of horror. It highlighted Kayako's stalking, evoking intimidation and paranoia. The horror of the film is well executed and a worthy follow-up to that of The Grudge. It is the film's saving grace because the rest of it doesn't live up to the scares so much. The editing was odd to me. The film fades to black on several occasions. I found it awkward. I half expected it to cut to a commercial break.
We'll be right back after these messages.
I wasn't fond of the film's cold open either. The film opens at about over halfway through Jake's story when his stepmother, overtaken by the curse, kills Jake's father, followed by opening credits. It's supposed to draw suspense from the question, how did we get here? And probably to fill the opening kill quota as well. But I believe the film had a greater pre-opening credit scene in Allison's plot. Allison's opening scene establishes the curse in the house, introducing the core scenario. On top of that, it presents a dramatic entrance for the antagonist. Imagine if the opening credits were tied to the end of this scene instead. Over the opening kill, I preferred the sting of the intro sequence as the cap on Kayako's exceptional entrance. But what matters most to me in the film is the script, so how is The Grudge 2's story? A new development is the curse's increased strength.
Your sister burned down that house because she thought it would stop.
The fire changed something. I think it's getting worse.
Its greater power is used to justify how the curse can afflict those beyond individuals who enter the Sayaki house. However, it's a bit too powerful. Hey, that's cheating. You just broke about 4 rules in the Ju-on handbook. I believe a set of rules is necessary for any fiction. But the new strength of the Ju-on diminishes the rules of the series almost to anything goes. It serves as a basis for the spirit's arrival in Jake's plot, which I found to be the least interesting segments of the movie. Jake's plot ignores its own avenues of drama. When his father and stepmother become unhinged, Jake responds alone after the fact. Then just 4 minutes later, his father dies. It would have been great conflict to see Jake's distrust of and clashing with someone he once loved, but sadly we don't get that. Then there's his almost arc. The film sets up Jake's inability to accept his stepmother's love for him.
I'm not gonna call you Mom. Okay?
Good. Because I don't really want you to. Trish works just fine for me.
It seemed as though it were establishing a need for Jake's character to learn to accept Trish's affection. Later in the film, Jake and his sister Lacey band together as they seemed to be the only sane tenants left in the apartment. However, it would have been more compelling if Trish were left sane instead of Lacey. This way Jake would be pushed into a corner, forced to confront his adversity towards his stepmother and learn to welcome her. However, what could have been a springboard for Jake's character arc is left unutilized. Unfortunately, Aubrey's story isn't much better. Almost half of Aubrey's story is devoted to investigating Kayako's past. Her search culminates when meeting Kayako's mother, Kawamata. Kawamata explains that she would extract dark spirits from villagers and feed them to a young Kayako. But this revelation is meaningless. Nothing in any of the films prior hint at such a past. Beyond that, it impacts the plot none. By the film's own admission, Kawamata's ritual had no effect on the curse.
I did not create this evil. Kayako was killed by her husband because she was foolish. That is where the curse started.
To add insult to injury, Kawamata provides no help to Aubrey.
No, we have to make it stop.
No, it will not stop. There can be no end to what has started.
The information provided hardly fits into the lore of Ju-on. It impacts the curse none, and it affects the plot about as much. The quest for this contrived, non-important backstory hollows nearly half of Aubrey's plot to irrelevancy. Which leaves us with the ending. Aubrey heads into the Saeki house to face the curse head-on. However, she meets her end at the hands of Takeo's spirit. This scene is the most notable difference between the theatrical and unrated cut, by the way. In the unrated version, the film cuts back and forth between the murder of Aubrey and Kayako. This just slows the pace of the scene down. We saw Kayako's death in the opening credits. You don't have to remind us, we can remember things from less than 2 hours ago. The film concludes on the reveal that the apartment became subject to the curse because of Allison's flee to America. I found the mislead of Allison's death earlier in the film convincing, so this twist surprised me. However, the conclusion renders Aubrey's story lacking relevance. The film tries to give Aubrey point by revealing Allison really saw Aubrey's spirit in the attic. Except A, no she didn't, and B, it changes nothing. Kayako and Toshio followed Allison to America. Aubrey did nothing beyond going boo at the beginning. An act that could have been easily committed by Kayako, the spirit that actually matters in the plot. The twist that Aubrey was in the attic is an ineffective attempt to mask the character's unimportance in the overall plot. In order to get the curse to America in Jake's plot, the story needs Allison to enter the cursed house, which would have happened even without Aubrey's presence. Jake's plot is dependent on Allison's plot, however, Allison's plot is independent, leaving Aubrey's plot isolated. That is my biggest gripe with the movie. The character who holds most pertinence to the previous film is least relevant. The Grudge 2 had the blessing of having Takashi Shimizu and Takako Fuji behind and in front of the camera respectively. However, the horror can only carry the script so far. Jake's plot was underwhelming, while Aubrey's adventure not only wasted nearly half its runtime in search of an arbitrary backstory, but lacked importance to the overall plot. The Grudge 2 is a disappointing entry in the series, one that would result in its sequel skipping theaters altogether in favor of direct-to-video. But that's a review for another day. I've been Zibboyeye, or just Zib is fine, and thank you for watching. Zibbo bye bye!